Good morning, children. Today we are going to do the chapter Thank You, Ma'am. Okay. Now, here in this chapter, we find that a woman, she was not young, of course, she played the role, a very important role of changing the character of a young boy who had gone to steal her purse. He was not on the right way. She, with her behavior and her love, she changed the behavior of the young boy. Okay. Just see here. This chapter is written by Langston Hughes. Okay. Now, first of all, let me tell you all some words about Langston Hughes. His full name was James Mercer Langston Hughes. He was an American poet. Okay, he was born in America. Okay, other than being a poet, he was a social activist also. He was also a novelist, a playwright, and also a columnist from Joplin, Missouri. He moved to New York City as a young man, where he made his career. Okay, so he was famous as a writer when he went to New York. He was born on 1st of February. Okay. Where was he born? He was born in the United States of America. And from there he went to New York City, where he made his career. Now, some of the works of Langston Hughes are some of the poems written by him. Two of the poems which I know are Montage of a Dream Deferred and Let America Be America Again. Okay. So this is all what I know about Langston Hughes. Okay. Now let me come up to the chapter here. Just see here. When I read, please follow. She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it. So the starting of the chapter is about the woman who changed the character of the young boy. She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it, but hammer and nails. So only hammer and nails were not there. Other than that, she had everything in a very big purse. It had a long strap and she carried it slung across her shoulder. So how was she carrying her purse? She was carrying it slung. That means hanging along her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night. She was returning back home and she was walking alone when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. So it was night 11 o'clock. The boy was also outside his home. He did not have any fair means, of course, and he was just running behind her and he began to snatch her purse. The strap of the purse broke with a single tug. The boy gave it from behind. The boy thought that I got the purse because the strap of the purse broke away. But the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined. So the weight of the purse was so less and the boy's weight was also very much matched with the purse. So what happened? And caused him to lose his balance. The boy lost his balance. The weight of the purse was so less, he could not balance it up because the strap broke away. Okay. So instead of taking off full blast as he had hoped that he will just snatch the purse and run away. The boy fell on his back. He fell down on the ground, on the sidewalk, and his legs flew up. So he was also not a very heavyweight boy, okay. The large woman simply turned round and kicked him right square in his blue jean sitter. So, when he was fallen down, the large woman, she turned round and she kicked him up. Then she reached down, picked up the boy by his shirt front. So she did not leave the boy also. She bent down and picked him up. Okay. And shook him until his teeth rattled down. Then shook him up because the boy got afraid. He was a young boy. Okay. And the woman, she shook him up until his teeth was set because he was all trembling. After that, the woman said, "Pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here." She still held him. So she told him, "You pick up everything, whatever has fallen down, and you give me here." And she was holding him tight. But she bent down enough to permit him to stoop and pick up her purse. She allowed him to stoop down and pick up the purse and give it to her. Then she said, "Now, ain't you ashamed of yourself?" So she asked him, "Aren't you ashamed?" Firmly gripped by his shirt front, the boy said, "Yes, ma'am." The woman said, "What did you want to do it for?" So the woman asked her, "Why are you stealing? What do you want?" The boy said, "I didn't aim to." So the boy said, actually, he had no aim in his life. He just saw the purse and he went for snatching it up. She said, "You a lie." By that time, 2 or 3 people passed and stopped, turned to look, and some stood watching. "If I turn you loose, you will ruin," said the woman. Now the woman said, "If I let you loose like this, you will get ruined up. So I am not going to let you loose." Okay. "Yes, ma'am," said the boy. So the boy also knew that he was getting ruined. Okay. "Then I won't turn you loose," said the woman. She did not release him. She did not let him go. "I am very sorry, lady. I am sorry," whispered the boy. Now the boy said, "I am really very sorry." "And your face is dirty." Now the woman said, "Your face is very dirty. I got a great mind to wash your face for you." So she said, I've got a very big mind and I can wash your face for you also. "Ain't you got nobody home to tell you to wash your face?" So she said, "Don't you have your parents at home to tell you to wash your face? Your face is so dirty." "No, ma'am," said the boy. "Then it will get washed this evening," said the large woman, starting up the street. Now the woman said, "So it will get washed this evening only." Dragging the frightened boy behind her. Now catching hold of the boy, she began to drag the boy behind her. He looked as if he were 14 or 15, frail and willow-wilded. That means he was very frail, means very weak, and like a willow-wild means like a tree, a willow tree. Okay. In tennis shoes and blue jeans. So he was so thin, he looked like a willow tree in blue jeans and tennis shoes. Tennis shoes means the shoes which you see here, strapped shoes. Okay. The woman said, "You ought to be my son. I would teach you right from wrong." So the woman said, "If you would be my son, I would have taught you what is right and what is wrong. Least I can do right now is to wash your face." So she said, "Whatever I can do just now is that I can only wash your face." "Are you hungry?" the woman asked. "Was I bothering you when I turned that comer?" said the woman. Now the woman said, the comers, the people who were coming up there, they were all looking at you. So I bothered you a lot, isn't it so? "No, ma'am," said the boy, being dragged. I just want you to turn me loose. Now the boy said, I just want you to turn me loose and let me go. I'm not even hungry. So now the woman is asking, was I bothering you when I turned that corner? Said the woman. No, ma'am, but you put yourself in contact with me, said the woman. If you think that contact is not going to last a while, you got another thought coming. When I get through with you, sir, you are going to remember Mrs. Luella Bates Washington Jones. So she said, when I go through you, when I interview you, when I talk to you, you will always remember me. Who am I? I am Mrs. Luella Bates Washington Jones. Sweat popped out of the boy's face and he began to struggle. Mrs. Jones stopped, jerked him around in front of her. So Mrs. Jones, she saw him sweating all over. She jerked him up and brought him in the front, put a half Nelson about his neck and continued to drag him up the street. Now what she did, she put a half Nelson, means half her hand round her neck and began to drag him up the street. When she got to her door, she dragged the boy inside, down the hall and into a large kitchenette furnished room. So she went home, she opened the door and dragged the boy inside her house. She switched on the light and kept the door open. Now she switched on the light and kept the door open. Okay, now why did she keep the door open? The boy could hear other roomers laughing and talking in the large house. Now the boy found that this woman, she lived in a house where many people lived. Okay, so he thought that this lady, she has got a very big family. Okay, some of the doors were open too. So he knew he and the woman were not alone. The woman still had him by the neck in the middle of her room. She said, "What's your name?" "Roger," answered the boy. So the name of the boy is Roger. "Then, Roger, you go to that sink and wash your face," said the woman. Whereupon she turned him loose. Now she turned him loose and said him, "You go to that sink and wash your face." At last, Roger looked at the door, looked at the woman, again looked at the door, but he went to the sink. Now, children, Roger could have run away because the door was open. And the woman, she knew that Roger is not going to run away because Roger knows that what the woman is doing for him is for his good. Let the water run until it gets warm. Now she also allowed him to run warm water. She did not tell him to wash his face with cold water in that night. So she provided him with that warm water which she would provide her son. She said, "Here's a clean towel." So she gave a clean towel also to the boy. Okay, children, this much for today. The next day I am going to explain you all the next half of the chapter. Okay, please read the chapter from your book. You will feel that it's very nice. Thank you.